to the Friday games for round 4 of Super Rugby are all done and dusted. Comfortable wins for both the home teams in the end. Both the favourites got their wins as they were predicted to do, but perhaps the margins maybe not quite what we all expected. So in the first one, the Highlanders beat the Stormers 33-15. The scoreline maybe makes it look a little bit bad for the Stormers, I suppose. Like, the Stormers were in this game. The lead actually changed hands a couple of times. So it wasn't kind of one-way traffic. It wasn't like last week where they got a bunch of points put on them early on. In fact, the Stormers had the lead for a while early, although the Highlanders did score within the first 5 minutes. And you were kind of worrying, like, oh, is this going to be a repeat? But it wasn't. The Stormers showed some character. Had a lot of possession, a lot of territory. But one of the main things that was really noticeable about this game, and I don't know what the exact numbers are, but time spent in 22. The Stormers spent a lot of time in the Highlanders 22 and didn't get that much reward for it. They had to really struggle for all the points they scored, whereas the Highlanders, pretty much every time they got into the Stormers 22, they scored pretty soon after. So, I mean, it reminds me of the Blues sometimes when they just can't stop guys from 5 meters out. The Stormers, just in their own 22, they're playing the grease with me. Just couldn't stop the Highlanders. They would just cut through like hot knife through butter. For the Stormers, though, Willemse was good, brave. Like, for a 19-year-old guy touring New Zealand against a pretty strong Highlanders team, coming back from injury. So, he tackled hard. He ran the ball to the line. He scored a good try. Showed a bit of gas, maybe not quite Bowden Barrett gas, but still a bit of toe to score a long-range try. So, yeah, he was impressive. I think if you're a Stormers fan, you're looking forward to his development over time. For the Highlanders, Rob Thompson looks good. I mean, we kept going on about Fekitoa leaving, but yeah, Fekitoa who at the moment, honestly, the Highlanders midfield looks pretty good. Naholo had a pretty good game. He scored a try and set up one of Aaron Smith's tries. Got tackled once by Raymond Rule, which was interesting, but then Raymond Rule missed another tackle earlier. So, yeah, kind of a mixed bag for Raymond. But, Naholo was definitely causing a bit of havoc down that right wing. Like I said, he busted through one of Raymond Rule's tackles to set up a try. So, yeah, big game. He did have bad hands a few times. Like, one of the passes was just an amazing sweep pass that would have set him up for a try. And he dropped it clean. So, I mean, there was a bit of that in this game. It wasn't clinical, really, from either side. Probably not quite the standard they would want. Both sides blew tries. The Highlanders especially. Hemopo blew one. Like I said, Naholo blew one. And I think there was another one. So, a lot of points that both teams probably could have had that they ended up throwing away. Highlanders kind of blow the game out in the end to get the bonus point try. A lot of knock-ons. So like I said, it wasn't that pretty. The Stormers line-out, still needs work, doesn't it? I mean, it doesn't help that you're on your third choice hooker throwing to like your third choice lock or throwing to your number 8. But yeah, it's just the Highlanders could kick to touch kind of with confidence that, they would either be able to compete or like win the Stormers ball. So yeah, it's not ideal. But the Stormers still kicked for touch sometimes. Sometimes they managed to secure it, sometimes they didn't. It was kind of a flip of the coin. But at the end of the day, really, for the Stormers, this is a pretty disappointing tour. They, got a bonus point loss against the Waratahs and then 2 comfortable losses against the Crusaders and the Highlanders. They never looked like winning either of those games, although they did have patches where they fought well. But patches is not enough. So, they're back to Cape Town after this to play the Blues next week. And they will actually have the travel factor against them because the Blues are, although they were delayed, they're already in South Africa before them. So, yeah, hard trip. Oh, I should give kind of a shout out to Salman Morat, the young lock, another 19-year-old. Looked pretty good in his Super Rugby debut, a lot of pressure on him. So yeah, it's not all doom and gloom for the Stormers, but again, 1 point from 3 games on tour. It couldn't have gotten much worse, but yeah, it is what it is. And for the Highlanders, 2 games, a win and then a bye and then another win. So win against the New Zealand rival and then a bonus point win against the South African team. Yeah, pretty happy. They're looking like they're going to be hard to beat, but they've got the Crusaders next week at home. So that will be a much bigger test for them because the Crusaders, depending on how they go against the Hurricanes on Saturday game, the Crusaders are kind of looking the business. So yeah, disappointing final result in the end for the Stormers, but yeah, it's the result we kind of expected. For the second match, the Rebels against the Brumbies, this was kind of the clash of who's going to be the #1 team in Australia, and apparently it's not going to be the Brumbies. It's probably going to be between the Waratahs and the Rebels. The Rebels are really putting their hands up to be the dominant team in the Aussie Conference. Now again, similar to the first game, this one kind of blew out a bit at the end. So the scoreline doesn't totally reflect the overall performance. But yeah, unfortunately I missed the first 10 minutes of this because the Sky TV here in New Zealand had it on the 3rd sports channel. And I was sitting there on the 1st sports channel, which this game had been on, waiting for the next game to start up, like it usually does, but it was on another channel. It took me 10 minutes to realise. So yeah, I missed the first 10 minutes, in which apparently the Brumbies were pretty dominant. The Rebels had a yellow card for too many penalties kind of in quick succession. But yeah, the Brumbies didn't really capitalise. They scored 1 try during that 10-minute period to Penny. So yeah, as you'll see later on, this kind of comes back to haunt them. But overall, the game was not that clean again. It was a bit messy. There was a lot of waiting. And partly it's just the ref. I mean, I hate talking about the refs, but like he was waiting for a TMO call and then explaining things to people, and like the scrums were reset after reset, and yeah, like players killing time and not getting told to kind of move the butts. It was a lot of wasted time, which kind of killed the flow of the game at points. Sometimes the players do that to try and help their team out, to let them get a breather, but some refs don't stand for it, and this ref just kind of let that stuff play. So yeah, that spoiled it a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, I thought the Brumbies looked the more tired team, which was surprising because the Rebels are the guys who just came back from Japan. So you thought the travel factor might get to them. But I guess Brumbies' 3rd away game in a row, they just looked, I mean, there were patches where they really looked fired up and they were just bumping over the advantage line, but for a lot of it, it was slow, it was tired, it was a bit messy. So yeah, a lot of work to do for the men from Canberra. Rebels, just that train keeps chugging along. Murphy looked good. That guy has no regard for his own physical well-being. He doesn't brace himself, he just runs. He does do a lot of off-the-ball stuff, which is kind of annoying. Like he slapped McCaffrey on top of his bald head, which was kind of uncalled for. Aaron Smith does it as well. TJ Perenara got told off for it last week. The referees probably should clamp down a bit on it, because there's no need for it. Like, celebrate when you guys, get a tight head, or, somebody else in your team does something really good, but just cheering like hooligans every time the opposition knocks the ball on, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me, but it's sports, so they're trying to get that kind of mental edge over each other. I get it, but yeah, it doesn't put them in my good books. Not that they could care, but that's just me. Later on in the game, the Rebels also had the man advantage, so the Brumbies had a yellow card. And this is where I say the difference kind of comes into the game. So like I said, for the Brumbies, when they had the extra man, they got 5 points to 0. The Rebels, when the Brumbies were a man down, scored 19 points. They got 3 tries, 2 of them converted in that 10-minute period. And that just killed it for the Brumbies. The Brumbies had not long earlier come back into the game a bit. Spaeth had scored a pretty nice try. Yellow card, try. Game over, and the Rebels just had to hold on for the bonus point. So, yeah, really good start to the season for the Rebels. I mean, what a turnaround from a team that only won one game all last season to go 3 from 3 and 3 bonus points. It's night and day stuff. So, very good work from Dave Vessels, the coach. Brumbies really, yeah, like I said, need to work on things. For the Rebels, I really want to see Maddox at 10. He keeps playing on the wing and he keeps impressing. He seems to have decent distribution from what limited passing he does on the wing. He's got gas. He scored a nice try. He's the closest I can see to a Bowden Barrett style player in Australia at the moment. So I really want to see him have a game at 10. Maybe when they've got, I don't know, maybe if Debrasini needs a rest, or if they've got a big lead on somebody and they want to kind of give Debrasini an early break, just let me see Maddox at 10. I just want to see how he goes. So he's supposed to be kind of like Willem say, he's one of the next big things. So yeah, I just want to see him how he go. Also, to be fair, this scoreline could have been worse if the Rebels had kicked all their kicks. Yeah, Hodge missed a couple penalties and quite a few conversions. So yeah, I know the Brumbies did as well, but still the Rebels could have had it out by a lot more. So yeah, pretty big result for the Aussie Conference. It's going to be interesting to see how the Waratahs go in their game against the Jaguares, because that pits the Rebels up against the Waratahs for that top spot. And guess what? Next week, who's playing? Rebels travel to Sydney to play the Waratahs, who might be a bit weary from their trip from Argentina. Brumbies will face the Sharks, who will be coming over from South Africa. So yeah, lots to look forward to there. But yeah, what did you guys think of the games? Were you impressed by the Rebels, or did you think the Brumbies were more just a bit slow? Highlanders, kind of like I said, got what they expected. Does Aaron Smith drive you nuts? Sometimes he drives me a bit nuts, but very good player. So it's it's hard one to balance about the talent and then that kind of bit of niggle. Anyway, yep, Saturday game still to look forward to, and I will talk to you guys again for those ones a bit later.